on that screen.
Okay. Hi there, everyone. Thank you for joining us again today. We are very excited about our recipes. We are going to be making Chef Laura's special sugar cookies, and we're doing a little spooky mummy English muffin pizzas. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I also would like to ask everyone to keep Lieutenant Heather in prayer. She threw her back out this weekend, so it's kind of really bothering her, so we need to lift her up for that. And our next class is November 10th. We're not sure what we're doing yet, but we'll come up with something awesome, maybe something Thanksgiving.
Sounds like we should do that.
Yeah. Everyone have a fun and very safe Halloween, and I'm going to ask Chef Laura to lead us in prayer.
Hello everybody, I have on my kitchen Halloween costume. So I have on my Queen of the Kitchen apron and my tiara chef hat. So I'm in the spirit for our Halloween goodies today. And but before we get started, let's pray. Dear Lord, thank you so much that we get together and make this yummy food. And Lord, I do lift Lieutenant Heather up to you and ask for quick healing for her back, and so that it doesn't hurt so much. And watch over us and keep us safe as we cook today. And thank you so very much. Amen.
Amen.
Okie dokie. So our original intent was to have some Halloween, maybe a pumpkin cookie cutter, but that did not happen. So I'm going to be using a glass to cut my cookies out, and so I was just thinking that before we actually get started, we'll talk about this. If you are one of those kinds of families that has a kitchen drawer that might have a cookie cutter in it, you can certainly use whatever you've got. Otherwise, we're just going to make round cookies, and they're not going to be quite as holiday as we wanted them to be, but they're still going to taste delicious. So that said, let's go ahead and if you don't have a stand mixer like this, a hand mixer that you just use like this, that's perfectly fine as well. So if you're using, if you have one of these, speaking of which, I'm sorry, I just had to interrupt myself. I love this color. I think it's so pretty. Yeah, I'm very much enjoying this color. Sorry. So mine is just, I mean, it's pretty, but it's just silver. You know, so this one, but I kind of like it. So if you're using a hand mixer, you need a pretty good size bowl. So you'll need, doesn't have to be quite this big, but you'll need a good size bowl. And again, if you've got a stand or a countertop mixer, just use the bowl that came with it. And for a stand mixer, we're going to be using the paddle. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is put our butter in our bowl, and in my quest to soften my butter in the microwave, I melted it just a teeny tiny bit, and you don't want that. So it was a while ago, so it's actually coming back together again. It's not really as melted as it was, so it's gonna be perfectly fine. If your butter's not soft, you just have to mix it a little bit extra, and the friction in the mixer will help soften that up for you. Alrighty, so we're gonna get our butter. This was really nice and much easier when it was hard, but it's also better for butter to be softer when you're making cookies. Not too soft, you don't wanna melt it. Okie dokie. So we're gonna put our butter in our mixer, or in our bowl, whether it's a regular bowl or a mixer bowl. And then we are going to put in our sugar. So we've got 1.5 cups of sugar right here. If you're baking by weight, this is 10.5 ounces. I had to go back to a volume measurement with the recipe because I always bake by weight. It is, it's actually more accurate, and when you learn how to do it, it's easier. It's way easier. So I'm gonna put my bowl on my mixer, and I am going to cream this together. Now we don't want to go, if you've ever made cookies or a cake or anything like that, and you've creamed something, you sometimes you do it until it's really light. We're not going to do that. For these cookies, we want to just get them until they're nice and mixed together. So I will let this go. I'm just on 2 on on this one right now, so you don't want to turn it up too high too fast or you're going to get a nice little volcano of ingredients thrown out of the bowl. So you want to let it mix for a minute, and then you're going to go to medium. On a KitchenAid mixer, medium is 4, and I'm not magic. I just use these mixers a lot, and I know where the little notches are. So I think I'm on 4. Oh, and look, I'm on 4. So, like I said, it's just they're notched, and so I can just feel where it's engaging into that speed. So, because my butter was nice and soft, it mixed up, and so we're just looking for it to be mixed together and nice and light. If your butter is hard, like I said, ooh, I'm making noise and talking. I should probably not be doing that. If your butter is harder, you're just gonna mix it for a little while longer. Like I said, let the mixer soften that butter for you.
Now, Chef, if they have a hand mixer at home, obviously it's going to take them a little longer to get it to
Yes,
incorporate
this one's
it.
really fast.
Oh.
Yeah. So I'll slow down. That's why I'm cleaning off my beater and just kind of playing around here a little bit. So if you're using a hand mixer, I don't have very many pictures. We have quite a few more people now though, that's exciting. But we don't have a lot of video going on, so I can't see what they're actually using.
Oh, hand mixer right there. Oh, wow.
Oh, there we go. Now, that's gonna take a long time. So that's actually an egg beater. And that's probably not gonna be a whole lot of fun, but looks like you're doing a pretty good job there.
You might want somebody to hold the bowl for you, though.
If it's at all possible, yeah. All right,
Might be easier.
so I'm gonna go ahead and just pop this back up onto my
Thanks,
mixer.
Mom.
There we go. So once you get your butter and your sugar kind of mushed up, I don't know the name of the person who's using the handheld one. Once you get your butter kind of mushed up and your sugar mixed in, if you have a whisk like this, or even just a spoon, after this process, you're gonna wanna just mix it together like with this, okay? Because it's actually gonna be easier than it is to use what you're using. Oh, wait a minute, there we go. Okay, so next, we're going to put in our egg and our vanilla. But before that, we actually want to mix our dry ingredients, our flour and our baking powder and our salt together. So I'm gonna use this bowl. I think everything's gonna fit in here. So we've got our 2 3/4 cups of flour, or 14 ounces. And I'm gonna stir this together, and then we'll check and see where everybody is, and we'll have some trivia if we need to slow down for a second. So we want to get our dry ingredients stirred together, and we want that salt and that baking powder to be well incorporated or well distributed in our flour. So a whisk is a really good thing to do that with. So I've got my flour, I've got my baking powder. Is this baking powder and salt together?
No, baking.
No, this is baking powder. Oh, and the salt I'm measuring? Oh, I need a teaspoon.
Oh.
That's okay, we'll figure it out, no worries. So this is my 2 teaspoons of baking powder is gonna go in here. Now, usually I would not do this with baking, but because it's salt, I am not going to measure it. Now, baking is very, very precise. Normally, I would not allow anything in a baked good product unless it was measured out perfectly. But this is salt, and so I know that it's not going to ruin my product if I have a little bit less than I need, but I don't want to put too much because I don't want salty cookies, right? So I happen to know about what a teaspoon looks like. You guys they already have their teaspoon, right?
Yes.
Okay, yours is already measured out for you. So like I said, normally I would never do this. Even at home alone, I measure out everything. But, so, one time I had this student come up to me years ago, and he had baking powder or something in his hand, and he said, Chef Laura, does this look like a half a teaspoon? And I said, have we met? And he looked at me, and he looked at the stuff, and he goes, I'll go find a measuring spoon. Like, seriously, this is culinary school. We do not guess at what a half a teaspoon is. All right, so I'm going to stir my baking powder and my approximately 1 teaspoon of salt. Like I said, if that were the baking powder, we would have waited for a measuring spoon, but since it was the salt, I know it's going to be perfectly fine. All right. How are we doing? Are we ready for the egg and the vanilla? Give me a thumbs up, those of you I can see. If you're ready. I'm not seeing anything. All right. Oh, yay! We're all ready. Okay, so we're going, I'm going to put my paddle back on. And I don't want to break my egg on my clean cutting board because I don't want any raw egg on here where somebody could get sick. There's a piece of fuzz underneath that. Okay. So I'm just doing it in this so that I don't get raw egg on my counter and make somebody sick. So there's my egg. Certainly not going to hurt the egg to be in the container that the butter was in because they're all going in the same thing. Now this has raw egg on it, so I'm not going to lay it back down on my cutting board like I did before with the butter. The butter's not going to hurt anything, but raw egg could make somebody sick. So we're going to be a little bit more careful with that one. So we're putting in our egg and our vanilla, and then I am going to rinse my hands off with my sanitation liquid so that it kills any germs that might be on there. So I'm going to put this back up again, and again, hand mixer, electric hand mixer, or just a good stir with a spoon or a spatula is going to get that nice and mixed in, and you want that really, really well mixed until you don't see any of the moisture from the egg sitting on top of anything. Again, we don't want to go to a super high speed, because if we make this too light, if we beat too much air into it, then our cookies are going to be very tender and very crumbly, which if you're just eating them, that's wonderful for cookies, but we're going to be decorating these, and so we need a little bit of a stronger cookie. They're still going to be delicious. I make these cookies all the time, and it's a recipe that most people really like. So, okay, so I've got that. My egg and vanilla are mixed in, and now all we've got left is our flour and baking powder and salt, and that can all go in. If you are using an electric hand mixer, you might want to do a little bit of this at a time, maybe about half of it, and mix it in at low speed. Remember, don't turn it all the way up. You're going to get flour everywhere. All right, so I'm going to start out slow with this so that I don't have a flour volcano, because I don't need that. And then once this flour kind of starts getting incorporated in here, I can turn it up. But all we want to do with this is get it mixed in. So we don't want to over-mix it. If you over-mix things, you develop a lot of gluten, and gluten can make things tough. So we don't want to do that when we're making cookies, because we want the cookies to be sturdy, but not tough. If you are doing this by hand or with an electric hand mixer, this dough gets very stiff. If you get to the point where you're having a really hard time stirring it in, or mixing it with your hand mixer, literally do it with your hand. Okay? You can get your hand down in here and literally mix it together and get that flour incorporated. So the cool thing about these cookies, or this cookie dough, is a lot of sugar cookie doughs have you chill them after you make them so that they're firm enough to roll out and use and make your cookies. This dough you can use right away at room temperature. And again, it's a very stiff dough, but it's a very delicious and still tender dough. So if you have to, like I said, if you have to get in there and mush that flour with your hand, go right ahead. It's kind of fun. And then you get some love in there. You get to play with your dough a little bit. There's nothing wrong with that. And I'm actually going to kind of do the same thing.
But you have to have clean hands.
You want to have very clean hands. Yes. Yes. Now, this is going to be baked. It is not what we consider a ready-to-eat food, so you can touch it with your bare hands. So you can kind of see me, it's a little bit on the crumbly side. You can kind of see as I'm smushing it, it's coming together, and that's exactly what we're looking for. Nice stiff, oh, this is perfect. Nice stiff dough. Very, very workable. All right, so I'm going to, actually I'm not going to rinse my hands off because I'm just going to start touching it again. So I'm going to set this aside. Get my station cleaned up. Oh, here I can move this out of the way. Here we go. All right, so now we're gonna roll our cookies out. So are you guys ready? Is your dough mixed? Give me thumbs up if it is. I see people cleaning. Excellent job. Excellent, excellent. If you're not quite there, I know you'll catch up. It's not too much.
Thumbs up.
Got all thumbs up. Excellent, excellent. So you have a bag, just like I do, labeled extra flour. So this is to roll our cookies out with so they don't stick to our surface. So I'm just using a cutting board. I'll bring this over so that I'm a little bit better in the frame here so you can see it. Cutting board is much better to use than going right on the stainless steel countertop. Oh, before we do this, you do want to get your cookie sheets set up. So I apologize, I did not put this in the recipe, but I always use parchment paper. You don't have to, but it does a couple of things when you're baking cookies. The first one it does is it keeps your cookie sheets cleaner, so you don't have to scrub them. And the other thing it does, especially when we're baking a rollout cookie or a shape cookie, it stops it from spreading too much. So it's gonna help them hold their shape a little bit. And everybody has parchment paper, right? So you wanna get, if you haven't already, that's something that you're gonna wanna do before you put them on your cookie sheets. So at this point, we're gonna put some flour on the surface that you're gonna roll out on. And how much flour? Just enough. This is not rocket science. This is a whiteboard. Maybe we should have broken the rules and used a color board. Doesn't matter. So you can pretty much see how much I'm sprinkling on there. You can still see it because flour is not perfectly white. So a fair amount. If your cookie dough is sticking, use more flour. So our goal when we're baking is to use enough, but not too much. If you're making lots and lots and lots of cookies, you can also use powdered sugar instead of flour. And what that does is if you use a lot of flour in your dough, what you're doing is you're incorporating more flour into your cookie dough, right? And it can make it dry, and it can also make it tough. So when I'm making these cookies at Christmas time, I literally make hundreds of cookies. And I have this whole assembly line going, and I use powdered sugar. And then that way I'm not making my cookies tough. So we're only making 3 dozen or so today, and we're gonna go fairly quickly, so I figured flour is just fine. So take some of your cookie dough, not all of it, about as much as you can hold. Make sure that it's holding together nicely. If you need to kind of smush it back into a ball, go right ahead. So just a teensy bit on the dry side. And I weighed out the flour.
I was going to interrupt you and say thank you, Chef.
No, I'm just saying if there's too much flour, it's my fault. That's not why I was saying that. I don't have anybody to blame if I have too much flour. So what I like to do is I like to pat it out with your hand first because we're gonna roll them out, right? So why not get a head start on that whole rolling process? And then I just wanna make sure that I have flour everywhere I'm gonna roll my cookies out to. The hoods just went off and I can quit yelling over them. It's so funny, it got so quiet I realized how loud I was talking, but when they're running, I feel like I need to talk over them. I also like to take some flour and get it on my rolling pin. So put a little bit of flour in your hand, cover your rolling pin. I'm talking a lot more
Yes.
than usual. There's not nearly as much chopping and stuff going on. But I promise we're gonna get to the trivia. All right, so we want our cookie dough to be about 1/4 of an inch thick. Now, fun fact, my pinky nail is 1/4 of an inch wide from here to here. So that's about what 1/4 of an inch is, all right? I know that's a little hard because I'm on a screen in front of you. This rolling pin isn't really rolling. There it goes. There it goes. And I will show you my dough when I get it. Oh, you know what? I didn't think about putting something underneath this so that it doesn't slide. If you've got a cutting board or something that you are rolling your dough out on and it's sliding, you can dampen a paper towel and put it underneath it. Or if you have any of that kind of plasticky stuff that you line drawers with or you open jars with, that works beautifully underneath as well. But that's all right. I can roll with it. Okay.
Oh my goodness.
I have a student who is the king of dad jokes. He would be so proud of me. He's always saying things like that. So he was in my class this morning. Maybe I was thinking about him and didn't even realize it. All right, so that's about where we're going with our dough. And if I can lift this up, you might be able to see about how thick it is. Yeah, that's pretty good. All right. So I just turned my cutting board because it's easier to roll this way than it is to roll this way. So, and then another thing that you want to do when you're rolling your dough out is it's really easy to make the center thicker than the edges because sometimes when we roll in the edges, we just keep going off and we make them thin. And we think that our dough is the perfect thickness, but it's thicker in the center. So when you're rolling, you always want to make sure that you start in the center and roll out and don't roll off your dough and thin those edges down. You want to just come to the edge and then stop. So you can kind of feel it if it's mounding up in the center. You need to take your rolling pin and you just need to roll that out a little bit, okay? Some of you guys may have some shapes that don't look quite as rectangle-ish as mine, and that's perfectly fine. Nobody's gonna know what it looked like before you cut your cookies, right? I've just done this a million times, I think, probably. All right, so now I'm gonna take my cup, or if you've got a cookie cutter, or whatever you've got, and I'm just gonna cut out some round cookies. And I think at this time, it's going to be really easy for you to see how thick that is. So this is a little thick. Don't roll them out super, super thin. That's not how these cookies are meant to be, okay? And another thing about these cookies that is really nice, I think, is that they don't have a lot of sugar in them, relatively speaking for a sugar cookie dough. Let me go ahead and get this on here. There we go. All right. They're meant to be iced. So when you bake them and then you ice them, they're not going to be super overly sweet. All right? So the recipe says that we should get 3 dozen cookies out of this. I'm already thinking we might get more. Like I told you guys, this is about probably 1/4 of the amount of dough that I make at a time. This is a 5-quart KitchenAid. I have a 6 at home, and I have 8 quarts at school. So I'm used to big mixers and lots of dough. If you are having a little bit of a hard time getting these up off of your surface that you're rolling on, I apologize, I'm just so used to doing this. Use a spatula. It's probably going to be much easier to get that up and off. All right? And these cookies, can be made any shape, size that you want to. And I'm not sure we're gonna get a dozen on a cookie sheet. These aren't that big. But if you stagger them, you can get more. So instead of going 2 rows of 3 like this, where I can only get 6, if I stagger them, I can get 7 or 8. 2, yeah, I might be able to get 8. So you want to have about a ½ an inch or so in between your cookies. They don't have to be super far apart. These, again, if you did not over lighten up your butter and sugar, they're not going to spread a lot. The whole point of these is to use a cookie cutter and get them, have them keep their shape. They're going to spread a little bit, but not a lot. So I'm going to ask my wonderful helper, Mr. Albert. We're going to go ahead and put our first pan in the oven. And you can wait until all of yours are rolled out to bake them, but just because kind of test in the oven, and first time I bake these in this kitchen, we're gonna kind of experiment a little bit and see how everything's going. So if you would put those in, and we'll check them in 4 to 5 minutes, and I'm gonna keep rolling. What time is it? We are doing well. I'm probably not gonna do all of our cookies together because, oh, you know what? I lied to you, but it wasn't on purpose. You do, as soon as you get one pan done, you do need to get those in the oven. And the reason is, we want to get them out and cool enough to ice before the end of our time.
That's right.
So, see, sometimes I say things out loud and my brain, you know, it kicks into gear for some reason. And I think of things, and I do that at school all the time, because if I stood in the classroom and lectured and told them absolutely everything, we'd never get it into the kitchen. So some things just have to be told while you're going, right? And some things I think of while I'm working. All right, and I've had students that don't like that very much, but you know what? It's just life. Okay, so I'm gonna cut out a few more. And the other cool thing about this dough is you can just mush it back together, roll it out again, and it doesn't hurt the quality of the cookies. The glass does not cut a super straight edge. So if you're wondering what I'm doing, I'm just getting rid of the little frilly edges because this is not that sharp. And it's just, it doesn't matter, but it's the perfectionist in me. It's the pastry chef in me is what it is. All right, so I need to get over that. All right, so I'm gonna do this one more time. It's not quite 5 o'clock, we're doing pretty well on time. Now, another hint if you are baking, dough sticks to dough. So if you've got dough stuck on your surface that you're rolling your cookies or whatever you're rolling out on, even if you put flour on top of it, it may start to stick because a sticky dough wants to stick to a sticky dough. So I'm going to scrape this off. Use something not sharp so that you're not cutting your surface, whatever you're rolling on. You've got plenty of flour. Sprinkle a little bit more flour. Just getting the excess flour off of my hands. So, I cannot do that without thinking about this. So I'm just mushing my dough back together again. I'm just doing it in the bowl because it's neater and cleaner than doing it on the cutting board. So one time, gosh, 14 years ago or so, 13 years ago, I had the wonderful experience of going to France, and I got to go to Paris, and I got to take a class at the Cordon Bleu in Paris, a baking class. It was very, very exciting. And the chef only spoke French. So he had an interpreter, and he was from England. He was British. So he was almost as hard to understand as the guy speaking French, so that was pretty funny. But they had done this a lot. He translated for him a lot. And every time Chef Coates did this, he'd go like this, and the English guy would go. So I cannot do that. I mean, it's been 13, 14 years, and I cannot do that without remembering their little act they had going on. Then one time he told a joke, and that it didn't get translated. And the translator said, I'm not gonna translate that. And the lady standing next to me spoke French. And I said, what did he say? And she said, it was dirty. I'm not gonna tell you what he said. So I guess I'm glad I didn't hear it. I don't know what, I have, still to this day, have no idea what he said. But the people who spoke French laughed. All right, so rolling out our dough again to make a few more cookies. And then we're going to go ahead and get on to our, what are they called? Mummy muffins, there we go. That's what I'm calling them. So again, we're going about to that 1/4 of an inch thick. And wherever you are in your cookie process when I'm finished, if you've only got one sheet pan done, that's fine. Hopefully you can finish them later tonight or another time. If you can't finish them all tonight, you can wrap this cookie dough up tightly in plastic wrap, and it can be refrigerated for a few days, 2 or 3. Just make sure it comes to room temperature before you go to cut it out again, because it's really difficult to work with cold.
Chef?
Yes.
If you will take a look at those cookies, please.
All right, let's take a look at these. I've got a dry towel.
Are you good with that?
Oh, they're almost there. Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
All right, so you can see what you want with these cookies when you're baking them is you just want a really light golden brown on the edges. You don't want them to get really dark, but you also want them done, okay? So this is still a little doughy in the center, so we're gonna put those back in for 2 or 3 minutes. Thank you so very much. Oh, I feel so fancy having somebody do that for me.
You deserve that.
Usually at work, I'm the one doing the ovens because I don't always trust the students to do it right. I shouldn't say that. The farther along they go, the more in charge they get to be. But that first 8 weeks, I touch the ovens. All right, so I'm gonna do one more pan, and then we're going to move on. And like I said, wherever you are in your cookie making process, hopefully make sure that you have at least a pan so that we can get those baked. It says 8 to 10 minutes, or just until they're barely golden brown on the edges. Depending on how your oven runs, it may take less time, or it may take a minute or 2 more. But check them always check your cookies after about half of the time that the recipe says, because what if your oven runs hot and you wait that whole 10 minutes and they burn, right? So you always want to be in charge of what you're putting in the oven. The big difference between baking and cooking, because if I'm making a pot of soup, I can open it up and I can stir it and look at it, but when I'm baking, it's in that oven and I can't see what it's doing. So in order to be in charge of that process, we need to open the oven and check them every once in a while, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so, like I said, so that was only, I put 8 on a pan, so that was 16, yeah. We're definitely gonna get more than, 3 dozen is 36, not 24. Okay, it's been a long day, and math sometimes just is not, I don't wanna say math is hard, because usually it isn't, but sometimes math is hard. All right.
That's usually hard for me.
Is it? I use so much math in my job that kitchen math I get pretty used to. All right, so I'm going to move this cookie stuff out of the way. It's certainly not going to hurt if I cut or work on this for my monster, no, not, I want to say monster instead of mummy. That's the problem. My pizza mummies, but it might not taste all that good to have cookie dough on them. So, we're gonna, ooh, my rolling pin wanted to roll away, and I'm not gonna let it. All right, I'm gonna wipe down my station because I don't like to work in a dirty station. Thank you very much. Now, the only thing that we have to cut for these are the olives for our eyes. Now, while I'm doing this, poor Miss Cheryl, I feel like I've just been ignoring her. We haven't had any fun trivia. What did you have to share with us about cookies? Now, we still have to do some icing, so we've got time.
That's right, yeah. I'll get to that. Now I'll switch to the English muffin trivia.
Okay.
English muffins are very close to English crumpets. Flat, round, yeast-raised rolls are called muffins in Europe, where they're cooked on a huge griddle covered in engravings.
Oh, I didn't know about that.
Yeah. So that they all have some special design in them.
I did not know that. So I have on a black apron, and you can't see it as much in the camera, but I'm covered with flour. So traditionally, you don't cut English muffins. Traditionally, you use a fork to pop them open. If you want to cut them, you certainly can. But you just go around the edges with your fork, all the way around. So one of the very cool things about English muffins is that they have all of these nice little pockets. So if you toast them and you like butter on them and it melts and it gets down into all the pockets, it's so good. Okay. And then, so you see all of those beautiful air pockets. Now when we make English muffins in school, a fun thing about them is that they have yeast and baking powder in them. You don't mix a yeast and a chemical leavener very often, but that really, really helps to get all of those little nooks and crannies in there. So, what do they call English muffins in England?
They are called...
Do we have that?
I have it. I don't have it.
Crumpets.
Yes. Okay, so they're...
And the muffins that we make, what we call muffins, you know, the sweet ones, like a blueberry muffin, they call those American muffins.
Oh, wow.
So, because we don't, so really and truly these, if they have what we consider an English muffin in England, I don't know what they call them, but like you said, they're very similar to the crumpet, and they do not call them English muffins. They might now just because it's popular and
they're not as
Americanized.
popular in England as they are here.
Right. So somebody took the English crumpet and kind of Americanized it, or United States'd it, and turned it into what we now call English muffins. So I'm gonna do 6, and then we're going to put these in the oven for about 5 minutes to get them toasted. Since the oven's already on, instead of using a toaster, it's way faster when you've got more. And if you only have the cookie sheets that you got through the kids' culinary, you're gonna have to do what I'm doing anyway and kind of do it in shifts. So let's start with our 6, and I'll ask my magic oven friend to put these in. And while we're doing that, I'm gonna ask my other magic oven friend. All right, I'm reaching. Okay. So, these are kind of thin cookie sheets, and this table's very cold, so I knew that it cooled down fast and I could touch it. And after so I didn't think about a cooling rack, because I don't know why, I just didn't. So I'm just gonna take a piece of parchment and I'm gonna take these, I want them out of the warm pan. Oh wait, there we go. I want them out of the warm pan because they need to cool before we ice them. If we don't, the icing is going to just melt everywhere. Now it'll taste good, but it won't look all that nice, all right? So I'm gonna get those off of that warm cookie sheet, set them aside to cool a little bit more. Go back to my savory side, or our dinner. You are very good at this. You're quite the baker. Thank you. They're perfect. Perfectly golden brown. 5 minutes. Oh, well, like 3, because those ovens are so hot. All right, we're not working with a home oven. We're working with a commercial oven, and they run a little bit hotter. All right, so what am I doing? Eyes and cheese for our mummy wrappings.
which is fun. Everyone loves playing with string cheese.
Yeah. So I cannot tell you how long it's been since I've eaten string cheese. Don't know why, just don't. It's mozzarella. Mozzarella cheese is naturally stringy. And so I don't know how many years ago. Do we know? Do we have string cheese trivia?
No, I don't.
We want them just a little tiny, like 1 more minute. All right, so we're gonna use this string cheese to make our mummy wrappings. And so just take a piece and pull it. And if you think it's too big of a piece for your mummy wrapping, then just pull it down a little bit more. So when I eat string cheese, when I ate string cheese, I was kind of picky about how I strung it.
That doesn't surprise me, but guess. How did you do it?
I don't know, they just have to be the right size.
Okay.
Like you know, not too small and not too big. Otherwise, it just doesn't taste the same. Like if you just picked up a string cheese and you just ate it like this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta have like the right like size. You know, it's kind of fun. But I'm gonna try to go just a little bit faster and be not quite such a perfectionist. And we'll see how many we fit on an English muffin. I don't know how many there's gonna be. But basically you have one for each English muffin, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So I've got a pretty good start going here on my string cheese.
I do have an answer to the question that you asked.
Look at you.
A baker named Samuel B. Thomas from England
Thomas.
started making these muffins in America over 100 years ago. They were based on his mother's tea cake recipe.
Which is kind of like a crumpet, yeah.
So,
And some of us actually got Thomas brand muffins today.
yes.
So look at that. We're pretty fancy schmancy, aren't we? So I've got some nicely toasted. We don't want to overdo it because we don't want them to get too dry, but toasting them is going to stop the sauce from soaking in and making them soggy. So we've got some pizza sauce, and I've got a spoon, and I'm just going to spread some pizza sauce on here. We went ahead and just gave you a small jar of pizza sauce because I didn't know exactly how much this was going to take. And some of you guys might want more than others, but don't overdo it. If you use too much, they're going to get soggy and they won't taste good. So we want to spread some. Oh, that smells so good. It's getting close to dinner time, isn't it?
Yes.
I can tell. My stomach can tell. Oops, missed. So I made a little bit of mess down here, but they're mummies. So I got some pizza sauce on my cheese, whatever. Just gonna make it more Halloween-ish.
It's just a bloody mummy.
That's right. That's what we're going for here. Normally I'm very clean and tidy. All right, what else you got for us, Miss Cheryl?
In England, English muffin batter is put into ring molds that are put onto a griddle, browned on one side, flipped and browned on the other.
That's exactly how we make them in school.
Oh,
Yep, we make
awesome.
English muffins in my baking class, and we do them the traditional way. You cook them on a griddle, and that's how they get that this brownness on both sides. Now, fun fact. I looked this up how they do this in factories because they obviously are not putting these on griddles because it takes a good 20 minutes to cook one of these. And they just have these big assembly lines and they just put them on it and they have heat above and below and it just goes through for the perfect amount of time and then they come out, voila, that's what they look like. So I've got my pizza, we've got our pizza sauce here. And I'm not going to do all of mine again because we've got 15 minutes and we need to have, well, I don't know how long we need for the cookies, not that long. All right, so depending on how you want to do this, now see, this is where my perfectionism comes in, right? But we're making mummies. So just put your cheese on. Now I'm gonna leave a little bit of room for my eyes, for my mummy's eyes. There we go. Now, if this cheese melts onto the parchment paper and it gets crispy, that's the best part. I love crispy cheese. All right, so if you like lots and lots and lots of cheese, you can use it all. I think I'm pretty good here. Just get a little bit more.
Oh,
and
that's
then,
a very good looking mummy.
thank you. Looks a lot like the picture, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Then I've got a little paring knife, and I'm just going to slice my olives. Now, we gave you 6 olives, and you don't really need a whole olive for each one, but better to have too many than not enough. You may not get them sliced perfectly at the beginning or whatever.
Well,
but
maybe the mummy has 3 eyes.
Maybe.
You
This is
never know.
true. It is Halloween.
That's right.
You can put as many eyes on your mummy as you want to. This one's gonna have 2. Oh, it's so cute! Look at that! Oh my goodness! All right, so yeah, maybe. Do you like olives? I do.
Yes.
I love olives.
Yes.
Okay.
They're delicious.
So, actually, maybe it does take 1 olive per. So what happened was, I cut off. You should not cook and talk at the same time. I mean, chew and talk at the same time. So once you cut off the end and you get in here to make those slices, you could use the ends for eyes, but they're not quite as cute as the middle. Oh no, I lost pimento. All right. All right, so I'm gonna quit eating olives because I spit one out. There we go. All right, so I'm going to, let's see what time it is. I'm keeping a pretty good eye on time here. How are you guys doing? Are you having fun? Okay, I'm gonna do one more and then we're going to, what I'm gonna do is I'm just going to take these off so that we don't bake them again. We'll just bake our 2 that I'm making now and then we'll get to see what they look like all done with the melted cheese, right? So let me get now if you don't want your cheese hanging off the ends, if you're not like me and you don't like the crispy cheese, I won't judge you, all right? But, so you can cut these or just break them off and do shorter pieces so they stay right on top of your muffin. I kind of liked the whole, messy, hanging off the edge thing, but they don't have to be that way. It's kind of artistic. It's kind of like arts and crafts food, isn't it?
Well, you played with the dough for the.
Yeah, boy, we're just really being.
Yeah, really hands-on.
Yeah,
today.
we're being very artistic and hands-on today. Why not? Alrighty. And you don't have to leave an entire spot for your eyeballs, for your mummy's eyes. You can put some cheese there and you can these will go right on top. So if you want to do it that way, you can do it that way too. All right, so we'll do 1 of each. I can't believe how cute these are. All right. Just a couple of minutes for the cheese to melt, please. So we don't want to melt the cheese completely and lose our strings, right? We want them to still look like the mummy wrapping. So you just want to put them in for another 3 minutes or so, the instructions say, to melt that cheese, but leave it so that it's still stringy and it looks like our mummy. I know it's cloth, but I don't know if it has a name. The mummy linen wrapping stuff. I am not a mummy expert.
No.
What a surprise. All right, I'm gonna wipe my hands off one more time so I don't get pizza sauce on my cookies. That might not be so good. All right, so I'm going to pull my cookies here and we've got lots of icing and some sprinkles. Now, if you do this another time, and you have, oh, this is nice icing, very nice and smooth. Ooh, it's fluffy, that's why. So,
Lovely icing.
this is not gonna be a surprise to you, but I don't often use canned icing. The last time I remember using canned icing, it was like really stiff.
Yes.
So this is very cool icing. And obviously it says fluffy right on it. So you're just going to use a knife or whatever. Oh, anyway, what was I saying? You could actually stir some food color into if you had some and you wanted to, and make your cookies different colors. Like I told you, these are pretty stiff cookies, and if you're careful with them, you can just hold it in your hand, spread your icing on here. You know, these could be mummy cookies too. That's a lot of mummies for one day, but I was trying to think of things that are white for kind of Halloween and fall, and the only other thing I could think of was a ghost, and they're not usually round. But you could kind of do a little wrappy thing on here if you wanted to. I don't know if that really looks like that, but and then if you want to take some of your sprinkles. So again, they're not very fall looking, but we don't care. They're going to taste delicious. All right, so I'm not going to taste it in front of you guys because I don't want to lick my fingers or anything, but I'm going to smell it. Ooh, that smells good.
It's marshmallow.
Oh, funfetti vanilla marshmallow. That's pretty good for smells pretty good for canned icing, if I do say so. I don't know why smelling it gave me a little tickle in my throat, but it did. So what else do you have to share with us, Miss Cheryl?
Sugar cookies originated in Nazareth, Pennsylvania.
Oh, I did not know that.
They made a round, buttery, and crumbly cookie that was shaped like a keystone, which is the symbol of Pennsylvania.
Oh!
That became
Cool.
known as the Nazareth cookie.
Very, very cool. So one of the things that I did want to point out to you guys is you noticed how nice these cookies stayed in their shapes.
Yes.
So that is one of the very nice, beautiful things I think about this cookie, this sugar cookie recipe. And I have been using it for years and years and years. And I'm going to be honest, I did not make up this recipe. I have changed it just a little bit, but this is actually a Wilton, which is a cake decorating company. This actually was their sugar cookie recipe, or they call them rollout cookies. But like I said, I changed it just a little tiny bit, so I call it mine. But I did want to give credit where credit is due, right?
Well, coming into the Christmas season, you'll like this one. Some sugar cookies are made harder and crumbly, and some are
Right.
made softer. The softer version of the cookie is called the Jesus cookie,
I did not know that.
having a heart as soft as Jesus.
Oh, that's wonderful. I did not know that.
But the other side of the spectrum, in 1994, the Loft House Food Company produced firmer, harder, more crumbly sugar cookies to be sold in grocery store bakeries. They're known as the Loft House cookies.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, because the super soft ones would crumble probably before you got them home. So they had to make them a little bit firmer. So like I said, ours are a little bit on the firm side, but they're still tender and they taste good.
The most popular sugar cookies are the frosted ones.
Well, yeah, they taste the best. So,
They have the highest sales right before Christmas, Hanukkah, Easter, and Thanksgiving, but now they include Halloween, other holidays, and different seasons of the year.
I thought for sure you were going to say Valentine's Day.
Oh, yeah,
Isn't that
that's
funny?
true.
Yeah. All right, so I'm sprinkling my sprinkles. I have my cookies on parchment paper. So that's going to help a little bit for the sprinkles that fell off. I can just, after I move these. So while Miss Cheryl was talking, I was just sprinkling some cookies. So cool thing is you can just pick this up and you can put them right back into your little container. And there we go. We don't have to pick them up one by one. That would be just too much. Too much. Alrighty. So, we are doing just super well on time. I honestly had a little bit of a moment of, oh my goodness, I think the cookies are going to take a really long time. And they would have had we made them all, but again, we cannot do that. So, I'm pretty sure my mummies are very close to coming out of the oven. And is everybody doing all right? Anybody have any questions? You guys all gonna be able to finish when we finish here and go off? Please bring those over, my friend. Yes? What am I getting?
You got a little.
A little, oh, there's a nice big thumbs up. All right, let's bring our
Let's see how
muffin
they
mummies.
are.
Oh man, those look good. I think. So look at that. So again, our ovens here are a little bit hot. But look what I got. I got crispy cheese.
Oh, there you
That's
go.
That's my favorite part. Oh my goodness. I think these are just adorable. So, those are a little bit, this one's got a little bit of a big forehead, but whatever.
Some mummies do.
Of course they do. It actually looks like it should go that direction, doesn't it? Yeah. It almost looks like it has a chin when you do it like that. So, we can pretend like I did that on purpose, right? So, I am finished. If you guys don't have anything that you need from me, enjoy your pizza mummies. I like mummy muffins. I think those are cute. I think that name's cute. But have fun with those and enjoy them for dinner and your dessert. And I will see you guys on November 10th. And I'm not sure exactly what we're going to do, but it's going to be fun and probably have a little bit Thanksgiving twist or
Yes,
theme. There we
yes.
go. All right, bye.
Thank you, Chef Laura.